and a warm welcome back to the Out of Bounds Podcast, Season 5. My name is Gail Williams alongside
Charlie Caleri.
How are we doing tonight?
It's good to be back.
How are we doing?
It's good to be back. Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
And all in between.
Happy holidays.
And after. Yeah, I mean, we're glad to be back. We're glad to be back on campus. Glad to be back in the studio here talking to you guys, talking some NFL football after a great about 5-6 weeks of us, not talking about it.
Yeah.
We're going to jump right back in today and talk about the divisional round and the conference championship coming up. But, I mean, Gav, what's been your overall take on the December month of football and into January, too?
I think December was good. A lot of great games. Wild card round was buns. This is probably the worst wild card round we've watched in a couple years. There's only 2 good games, in my opinion. The rest were just blowouts. And then the divisional round was all right. That's how I'll say it. It was all right.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like there's games where the scores looked a lot tighter than the game actually was.
Yeah, for sure.
For example, this first game that we'll cover in a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, I think I'm just excited to see the championships because those should be some good games. And then, obviously, the Super Bowl should be a good game, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, we're bound to get a good matchup here. I feel like the way that these teams are all playing, and if the matchups go the way that we think they will, we're going to be in for a treat in 2 weeks on Sunday. But to start off here, let's go back to January 18th on that Saturday, where the Houston Texans usually play their playoff games, always on Saturday because they never have the chance to get to Sunday because usually you have to be in the conference championship to play on Sunday.
Yep.
So they went to Arrowhead, played the Kansas City Chiefs in a rematch of about a few years ago where they blew a lead to the Chiefs. And now, once again, let this game slip through their fingers. Gav, what did you think about this one?
Well, if there's something I saw before the game, it remains true that every single time the Houston Texans have played in a playoff game at 4:30, they've lost.
The Houston Texans have never won a playoff game in their white jerseys.
Oh, so
they've never won a road game in the playoffs.
Yep.
And they've never won a playoff game in general where they've worn white pants also.
Huh.
So they need to wear all blue if they need to win a playoff game.
So they need to be home.
Right.
But
and we're all blue.
This game was very disappointing in my opinion. I thought it was going to be way more electric. It was close, and then it just didn't feel close for the rest of the game. I mean, the score shows 23-14. It was 23-12. But it really felt like it was like 30-12.
Yeah. There was a few things in this game that really just made me mad as an NFL fan. Let's just start with, what's his name, Clay Martin?
Yeah.
Is that his name? The referee. This guy has done 8 games for the Chiefs now in the playoffs in the Mahomes era. He's 8-0.
For the Chiefs.
For the Chiefs, yeah. I don't think that's a coincidence at all.
I don't think so either.
But at the same time, the officiating was really bad. There's a few calls that really just
that one Will Anderson.
Yeah, ruined Houston's momentum for the game, and it just made them feel like they were out of the game the whole time, and kind of just a bad situation all around because you knew by halftime or the start of the third quarter that it was over and the Chiefs are going to win this game how they usually win games. Early in this game, Gav, what'd you think about how in the first half about how the Texans kept it kind of close?
They were fighting, but their defense was the only thing keeping them close. Their offense wasn't doing anything. This is probably the worst game of Fairbairn's career. We'll put it out there right now. I mean, he had one missed field goal that was so far right. I don't even think he was aiming for the right uprights.
Yeah.
I don't care how windy it is.
I just want to point that out. So that whole situation right there, I wrote a note right when that happened. Right when they scored the touchdown, this is the Joe Mixon touchdown in the third quarter, for Houston to go down by 1. So it's 13-12 at this point. Houston had the momentum at this point. They had a great drive go down there, and it was a 10-minute drive to start the half. 10-minute drive to start the half at the road team. I mean, and you're down. I yelled at the TV. I go, you should go for 2.
Yeah.
There's no way that you just wore that defense down and it's a great defense too. And they showed that they wore them down for 10 minutes in a row. and you have Joe Mixon in the backfield, just run him in again. You just did it for 13 yards the play before. Run it in for 2 the next play, or Stroud himself. I mean, you had options there. They decide to kick it. Yeah, it's a good option too, but then you end up missing it. So you might as well just go for it there. I don't know. I think I was texting a few people about this. I think when people walk through the metal detectors or whatever, when they walk into the Arrowhead Stadium, I think their football IQ just goes away. I mean, D'Amico Ryan's completely lost it in this game.
Oh yeah.
There's a few times where they just made questionable decisions that really cost them. Going for it when they don't need to. Stroud just taking sacks when he doesn't need to.
And then he was forcing it when he didn't need to as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the sacks were the biggest thing late in the game. He was scrambling around, and it just made it worse for the Texans.
When you hold the ball on for too long, that's what's going to happen. And it's one thing to attempt to get it away. He just went straight down. Like, he accepted the sack. And that's not something you want to see in a playoff game.
No, and on the flip side for the Chiefs here, huge game from Travis Kelce this game.
Back.
Yeah, and it was a big game. But what bothers me is that this guy's open every single time that he's down the field. I mean, I understand. Unreal, Hall of Fame player, one of the best tight ends of the generation. But every time he catches the ball, he does that spin move.
Stupid spin move,
and nobody
man.
knows how to stop it. Like,
and it's so slow. It's
I know.
A slow
I know.
spin move. And
I know.
He's not a fast guy. And it's frustrating to see him pick up 15 extra yards when he should be brought down.
I mean, we're not saying we could do it.
Oh,
but,
no.
We're just saying that from the guys who watch the film for a week, maybe they should know this guy does
the same thing.
Yeah, a little
every
spin
single time.
on his toes every time.
Or when Mahomes is scrambling, he just sits put every single time. And you see it in that one diving throw from Mahomes, and he's just sitting there all alone because he read the play, he sat in the defense, everybody else bites, and wide open.
Yeah.
Same story every week when he gets the ball.
Once again, just goes to show the coaching that the Chiefs have. Andy Reid, the patience he instills in his players to
give credit to them
make
too.
Those plays. Mahomes and his scrambling ability has really improved over the years, and it's really become lethal. Even though he's not a quick guy, I mean, he can find space. They can create space for him. I mean,
all the players know how to rally when it's a broken play. They know how to adjust mid-play just to get open. And that's something I'm not taking away from the Chiefs because I give hella credit, a lot of respect for Andy Reid and his team for adjusting on the fly when it matters most. Yeah,
and the Chiefs taking advantage of their time that they had on the field. The Texans outgained them, passing and rushing wise, yards per play. Everything was everything was in the Texans' favor in this game. I think they were the first team to outgain a team with 300 plus yards and no turnovers and lose a playoff game. And I think all the other teams were like 49-0 in that stat, and that's just insane. It's a stat that can only happen to the 2020s Chiefs.
Yeah.
I feel like, and that's just the way that this dynasty's going, and we're just gonna have to deal with it, I guess. But on the next week.
Yeah, I think this is a good stepping stone for D'Amico Ryans, though. I think this is a good loss. It's not a good loss, obviously, but it's a good one to grow from. And they're still going to bring a lot of guys back. They just don't really know about Diggs. They have a couple questionable guys, but they still have most of their base covered already. They don't have to do too much in free agency.
Just need to get healthy. That's the biggest thing.
That's the biggest thing.
Late injuries to take Dell really hurt next year, but guys like Hutchinson stepped up. They have guys for the future.
Mechie stepped up too.
Mechie stepped up. Yeah, they have guys for the future that can propel them, and that defense, very underrated. To end the year, and Will Anderson, I mean, what a first half. I don't know where he went in the second half, but what a first half from Will Anderson, and he's a great player too. So they hit totally on that second and third overall picks in that draft. So, moving on now to the night game on last Saturday, and wow, what a game this was.
It was electric.
Yeah, electric is the best word to describe it. In Detroit, before the game, electric with LiAngelo Ball and his song before pumping up the crowd.
Whoa.
Yeah, and Kevin Durant was there as well.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant dropped 36 against the Detroit Pistons for the Phoenix Suns at 4 o'clock on Saturday night, and then was at Ford Field to cheer on his hometown Washington Commanders beat the Detroit Lions. What a day for Kevin Durant.
Yeah, he had a day.
What a day.
He was partying in the locker room with him.
And Detroit fans probably hate him now after that day.
Even Gibbs gave him a little celebration that he did in 2019 finals.
Yeah.
Liked that a lot.
Yeah, I like that too.
Speaking about Gibbs, I mean, the kid just was cooking all day. He had 14 carries, 105 yards, and 2 tutties. But, I mean, the biggest hole in this team was they got there's a difference between a team who has nothing to lose and a team that has everything to lose. And the Commanders had nothing to lose. And they just went for it, and they used the legs of Jaden Daniels on a 4th and 2, bring him all the way out for a bootleg. I mean, that's a genius call. I think Cliff Kingsbury's really, really improved the offense of this team. But then you look at the Detroit. I mean, 31 points. I'm not taking away from that. But there's gutsy calls when I like MCDC, and then there's gutsy calls where I think he's an idiot. Like Jameson Williams throwing an interception. I mean, you have to tell him you don't have to throw the ball if you don't have to.
Yeah, and I think I'm sure they did. And I'm sure they did.
That
Ben
kid's
Johnson,
never going to learn, though.
I mean, Ben Johnson was all over him right when he got back to the sideline. You could just see Jameson trying to explain his side. Nobody was agreeing with him. Yeah, there's certain calls that the 2024 Detroit Lions made that you will never see the 2025 and beyond Lions make again.
Nope.
I think the era of super aggressiveness in the Dan Campbell system, especially with Ben Johnson being gone now, being the Chicago Bears head coach. I don't know. I feel like Dan Campbell needs to change a few things. I think he needs to take a step back on his aggressiveness. I mean, it really has cost his team 2 years in a row.
It has.
In the playoffs, in big moments. And not to say that Amik Robertson going out in 2 minutes into the game didn't affect this game, because it really did. It forced Detroit to play a style that they didn't want to play. It had Washington match up well with those bubble screens that they were doing to McLaurin, which resulted in one of their touchdowns.
Yep.
It was just a numbers game they played. Dan Quinn's a smart coach, and it really showed for Washington.
Yeah, and I also think that it was the wrong game for Jared Goff to have his worst game as a Detroit Lion. And let's be honest, he played like hot garbage.
He did. I mean, he looked like Rams Goff. He looked like he was forcing throws that he didn't need to, but
that's not the Detroit Goff we're used to watching.
No. What a game from Jaden Daniels. We didn't point that out.
LFG player of the game.
Yeah, I mean, just remarkable. 299 passing, 2 touchdowns, and on the ground, too, just was equally effective.
He had a total of over 350 yards. So, I mean, got to give credit to the rook. I mean, I looked it up. No rookie has ever started or won a Super Bowl. So, could we see a rookie quarterback start in a Super Bowl? We'll find out next week. We'll see our predictions in a little bit, but keep an eye out for that.
Wow. Yeah, and receiving-wise for Washington, they just have a cast of characters, man. It's just like the Bills, kind of. They've got guys that do it every week, different guys every week. They go in and out. This week, De'Ami Brown.
I'm really glad that kid coached.
What a game. 6 catches, 98 yards. Terry McLaurin, 4 catches, 87 yards. That 1 touchdown, that was for, how long was that, Gav?
I think it was
58 yards.
Yeah, it was a long.
Unreal.
He got Mr. Ola Reliable. He had Zach Ertz over there.
Yeah, Zach Ertz. I mean,
he's been
the
great
old head, the veteran in that room.
He's the guy they need on that team.
Yeah, and then what was his name? Had that long? Oh, the defensive player that had the pick 6, Quan Martin.
Yep.
Who
got a great leading block on
Got Goff. A great leading block. And let's talk about this real quick. So Jared Goff had to come out of this game, and it didn't ultimately cost the Detroit Lions. But let's talk about this, because it came back to bite the officiating, I guess. So on this pick 6 that Jared Goff threw to Quan Martin, which was an unwarranted pick 6.
It was a horrible throw.
They returned it. Jared Goff's going to try to tackle him. He becomes a player now.
Yep.
And gets blown up. It looked clean at the start. Didn't look clean in my opinion on the replay. And then about, what was it, the next drive?
Mm-hmm.
Washington, Jaden Daniels run out of bounds. He gets popped. There's a flag. He gets flagged. I mean, the Detroit guy gets flagged. Yeah.
When you're running the ball and passing the line of scrimmage, you're a player.
So, I mean, this is the argument that we got to make. I mean, at that moment, Dan Campbell was really mad because it happened on the Detroit sideline. So he was saying, I mean, just happened to us, didn't happen to them. Ultimately, I mean, it also resulted in another Washington score.
Yeah.
I don't know, just overall things in this game that didn't go Detroit's way. The crowd got super out of it.
Way out of it.
Super out of it. And
second
they tried.
That fourth quarter started, they were gone.
You could tell that this was a crowd. I mean, no offense to the Lions, because the Bills were in the same boat even 2 years ago against the Bengals. But when you're a fan base not in a situation that you're used to being the top guy and you need to rally around your team, even when you're not thinking about it in the moment, like, they still need you. They're down by 2 scores. They got a shot all the way up until the end. They had a shot.
They did.
And the crowd just got too out of it, and the Lions had to feed from themselves, and there was really nothing left. They were digging at nothing, digging at bedrock,
Yeah.
Couldn't get anything
They
left.
put themselves in a hole they couldn't get out of.
Yeah. Great season from the Lions, but we'll see you next year. Get healthy. And
Yeah,
then,
that's time to roll.
yeah, we'll regroup. And shout out to my NFC teams right there with a great game. With a great game.
I like it.
Yeah.
So now we're going to carry this one over to Philadelphia, where the Eagles hosted the Rams in a game that was pretty good. Felt like it was going to be bad in the beginning. Then the Rams clawed back, and ultimately leading to a drive where Matthew Stafford stole the game.
Yeah. This was a good game.
It was a good game.
I enjoyed this game. I enjoyed how the weather played a factor. I like snow games.
Factor.
I like how in the first quarter there's no snow. Fourth quarter was all snow. I like how the teams had to adjust their play style throughout the game. Good football this game. I don't know. Saquon Barkley. Let's talk about him. I know you're talking about Matt Stafford, but I just want to pivot real quick because this guy's too good not to talk about.
This guy's amazing.
26 carries, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns.
And it's 1 touchdown for, I think it was 70 yards. I mean, wow. He looked at Hurts before the play, said, I like it. Hurts like that. Handed it right off, let him do the rest.
78 yards to the house. Ultimately capped off the game for them. Gave them a 13-point lead at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a game here. And, for the Rams, great season. Great season.
Great December.
Yeah, but
it
was just too little too late. It was too little too late.
Gotta point out Kyron Williams, you said, had to change the play style. I don't remember the last time I saw Kyron Williams fumble a football. And that really switched the momentum of the game early on.
Yeah, and also it's really tough when you're giving the ball away unwarranted, like the Rams did in this game. But it also doesn't help when you give some juice to a fan base like Philly. So Jared Verse,
he played great.
Let's talk about him. He played great, and he backed it up. He backed up his talk. But I mean, you gave that crowd
incentive.
He's a rookie. Yeah. Talking like that, and he had a great game. He showed out, and that's going to be a mini rivalry we'll see. I think the Jared Verse versus Philly fans, for years to come. But that's something that can't happen if you're Sean McVay and the Rams.
No,
I don't think.
And going to Matt Stafford now. I mean, taken away from a game he played pretty well in, but when you have a last drive, I think it was 4th and 11. You have your number one guy right on the sideline. He's got way too much room just to get his feet in. And you throw way too far out of bounds. I mean, I don't know. Matt Stafford's going 10 for 10. 9 for 10. 9 for 10. Like, every single time, that's a 9 out of 10 throw. But that was the one out of the one of the 10 throws that he couldn't make, and it mattered most.
Yeah, and he made a few 1 out of 10 throws that game. And it was really weird, too, because, I mean, like you said, Detroit Matt Stafford just not making any of those throws. And, up until this year, Matt Stafford, up until that game, Matt Stafford makes those throws. So I don't know what happened. Age might be catching up to him. I don't know. That's going to be a discussion for this offseason for that team.
It's a big discussion.
Cooper Kupp's going to be a question mark for the Rams this offseason. Do they cut him? Do they trade him? They were talking about that at the deadline, remember? Yeah. And, I mean, we were talking about it at the deadline. And that didn't come to fruition, obviously. But now these are questions we're going to have to start asking. They're in a way better spot than we thought they would be a year ago.
100%. Especially the rookies they had to replace Donald. And way better.
That was the biggest question mark we had was the D-line. That defense, can they step up? Roseboom stepped up. Guys in the back end, Cam Curl stepped up. Mm-hmm. It's overall team effort from the Rams in this game, but ultimately fell short. Got that touchdown late to make it close. But I don't know.
I just disappointed to see Philly go on.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. It was kind of written in stone. I do want to point out about my prediction about halfway through the season. I did have Philly when everybody's kind of writing them off in the NFC Championship. I had them hosting it, but I had them hosting the Detroit Lions. So, we'll have a little asterisk there. Right. Yeah, we'll have a little asterisk there. And then for the AFC side, guess what I predicted for my AFC Championship? Ravens at Bills. But guess what? That happened in the divisional round, and let's talk about it right now. What a game for the Buffalo Bills, my Buffalo Bills. We're going to the AFC Championship, folks. I mean, how can you not be excited? You're right. It is a different feeling year. This team feels a little bit different. This matchup feels a little bit different. I don't know if it's because we played them so many times or the team actually is different.
I believe the team actually is different.
Yeah, I want your thoughts on it first before I
the game
go
or the
into
championship?
Both. No, the game. The Ravens
yeah,
game.
So
Ravens game.
I thought I was getting a little frustrated in the first quarter because you have to game plan Lamar Jackson. And when I saw every single time he would take off, get 10 yards, okay, that sucked. I mean, you have to have a spy, but let's be honest, they stopped Derrick Henry all first half. He had one good quarter this game. I was telling this to my dad. One good quarter.
Yep.
And you know what? If you hold the top 2 running back to one good quarter, take it. Take it and run. And that's what they did. And the defense played really well. I know the score shows that they only won by 2 points. I felt the game felt a little different to me. I mean, by the time that fourth quarter came
Not to
around,
me. I don't know, man. That
Well, I
felt
know,
like a 2-point game.
I know a lot of Bills fans think that. I mean, I think the defense did a great job, and I want to give them the credit, even though they put up 25. Felt like they were holding them, you know. And then the offense. Let me just say something real quick. I mean, the run game was the best when Josh had it in his hands. I did not see enough out of James Cook this week. And if they're going to beat the Chiefs next week, they have to be a two-dimensional offense. And Josh has to be throwing a little more. I know the running with him was working, but only having 127 yards passing is not Josh Allen. He's the guy who at least has 200. But not taken away because he played a phenomenal game. He really put that team on his back when it mattered most. And those 3rd and 2s and those 4 and 1s. I mean, who do you want the ball in his hands when it matters most? Josh freaking Allen. And he had it. And he conquered it. And he played an amazing game, especially, on the ground. But, guy, I want to give a shout out to Khalil Shakir. I thought it was really funny because I was talking to my dad. I was, we were watching the game. I'm like, hey, give this ball to Shakir. He'll get 15 yards here. Catches the ball 25 yards. He's like, hey, all right. So, I mean, I really like Shakir. I think he is the number 1 receiver on the team. I think he's proving it week in and week out because you have guys like Keon Coleman who are silent, absolutely gone. Amari Cooper, where the hell has he been? Nowhere to be found. You have 2 guys. 2. You got Kincaid, you got Shakir, and that's a good 2 to look on. Knoxy has a catch every game, which he had a good one in this one. But you have a dynamic 2 who is young, hungry, and just ready to get after next week. So, great game from the Buffalo Bills. I was cheering my tush off for them. This is a fun one to watch. It was a fun one to watch.
Wow. I mean, it was as a football fan. As a Bills fan, I was really nervous. Didn't know what to expect, especially at the end there. I'm going to talk about the Ravens first. What a game from Lamar Jackson. I mean, I know he made mistakes. So does everybody else. Mark Andrews had a rough game. But I do think people are talking about the mistakes more than the Bills capitalizing on those plays.
I agree.
I think that Lamar was frazzled on that. I think that's the best word for it. Snap went over his head. He barely got it. That play could have been more disastrous somehow than it already ended up being. And kind of a reversal here of what you would think it is. Damar Hamlin getting in there, wrapping up his leg, which is a really tough thing to do on Lamar Jackson. I mean, I'm not the biggest Damar Hamlin supporter. I haven't been this whole season. I don't think he's the right safety for us in this scheme, but he has really stepped up this year, and we needed him to more than anybody would like to admit. And you know, if we do end up going there, I think he's one of those key guys that we'll look back on in this run. But him wrapping up Lamar there allowed Von Miller to get in there, scoop up that ball.
I thought he was fumbling that, dude.
Yeah, and
because Hill was running him down.
So I was thinking about this. The biggest thing I was worried about was Ed Oliver getting a block in the back because I thought he was going to turn around and just blow up Justice Hill coming up from the back there, but he didn't. I think Ed was like, I think we'd rather have the ball at the 25 than them have the ball back at the 25 or whatever. But yeah, just a good game overall for the Bills. But let's talk about the first half here with Derrick Henry. Really stopped him. That was my biggest concern for us, especially after that first drive. They drove down just like Denver did, and scored on their first drive. We got to really tighten that up next week, or else that could snowball. Likely had a great game. Rashad Bateman had a great game, but the guy that you needed to have a great game when Zay Flowers, your best playmaker on the outside, is out, didn't have the game you wanted him to. The guy that's been there for so long, the guy that you really, if you're a Ravens fan, the guy that you probably ultimately want to win more than anybody else, didn't show up for you at the end. Been there before. Let's talk about the Bills, though. More positive note. Yeah, Josh Allen had 127 passing yards. I think he was the most efficient 127 passing yards he's had in his whole career. 16 completions on that. A few big short yardage pickups in big spots. The defense allowed us to have those short fields. That's why we didn't outgain them. They outgained us in both rushing and passing yards. I think this was a game where you really, if you watch the box score, I mean, first of all, why would you even say anything if you just watch the box score? But if you just watch the box score, you're not going to be able to see the whole story of this game. The big plays that happened within the drives, the long sustained drives that we thought was going to have to be for both these teams to win the game. And it really came down to those key plays that I was talking about. James Cook in the backfield, those power rushing plays by Allen in the red zone. Ray Davis getting in there when we needed him
good,
to.
Man.
Yeah,
So Johnson. Like
like you said, Khalil Shakir, 6 catches, our most active receiver by far. James Cook was our second active receiver with 3 catches. Matt Collins on the outside, great run blocking. Keon Coleman on the outside, great run blocking. Don't see Amari Cooper out there. Kincaid, Knox on the inside doing their job. I mean, I would like to see more in the receiving game from Kincaid, but it's not the scheme that we're working with right now. I think next year maybe we'll get him more involved, but for right now, really like how this team is playing. Milano, Bernard, obviously injuries to Taron Johnson and Taylor Rapp kind of scare me a little bit this week. Amber Sewell Douglas scare me this week.
He did not play a great game.
No, he did not, and he's been kind of ass this year. But it's all right. Taylor Rapp going out early in that game really hurt, but Cole Bishop did step up.
He did.
I know that, we didn't really need him to play a huge role in this game, but he did when we needed him to. He got it on some blitzes that we didn't expect, but overall great game from the Bills. Tyler Bass, I just want to mention one thing. Tyler Bass hitting that 51-yarder, nobody will remember that kick. But if he doesn't hit that kick, we lose this game.
100%,
so, I mean, we need to give more credit to Tyler Bass and his clutch kicking ability. I know what everybody's going to say, but this year he has been money for us. I don't care. This year he's been money.
Yeah. I know when that 51-yard attempt happened, every Bills fan was holding their breath. Because they know every point in a playoff game matters. And I look over, the CFO is like keeping his hands above his eyes, but just squinting enough to see the TV because he's so scared it was going to be wide right, wide left.
Yeah, I mean,
but hey, it was money.
It was money. It was money,
and
you knew right from the kick that it was going in.
Yeah.
Going up by 8 in that spot, huge.
I also want to give some credit to another guy that we didn't talk about, Sam Martin. Man, he was dialing him up, and I felt really bad because one of his punts was probably the best punt of the game. Gunners weren't paying attention to where the ball was.
Yeah,
and that really pissed me off.
I was going to point that out. They were looking at looking at Wallace, I think, and obviously you want to prevent the return, but look at the ball. I mean, look in the air and see where the ball is.
Because that was a money punt.
Yeah,
I like Sam Martin a lot.
I do also want to point one thing out. I want to ask you. Well, first of all, I want to point out the D-line, how good they played in this game too. Ed Oliver stepped up. Rousseau stepped up. Epineza, great game from him.
He did play great.
But I want to point something out on the O-line during this game. I want to talk about the one penalty that the Bills got. We played a very clean game. The one penalty the Bills got in this whole game was the Deion Dawkins quote.
Oh, that was a bull crap call.
Yeah, so I want to hear your thoughts about
that. He slipped. I mean, that's all you really need to know. But I actually want to point.
I don't even think he slipped. I think Deion threw him to the ground.
Yeah.
And
there was more of that. I mean, yeah.
But what's he supposed to do?
There's one thing I really like that I don't know. I haven't seen this in a couple of years, or maybe I haven't noticed it in a couple of years. But offensive schemes with the pulling guard, right? I saw a play this week that was a pulling tackle, and it was Deion.
Dude, we do that every week.
And I'm like, wow. I have never noticed that.
This is why amazing. This is why Bills fans always advocate for Deion Dawkins being one of the best tackles in the league. He is so agile, and he's huge.
He's
dude.
ginormous.
He's ginormous, and he doesn't get Pro Bowl nods. I mean, I know everybody was whatever about Pro Bowl, but it matters to him. He said it. He said it himself. He said, I reinvent ways to play the tackle position. That's true. You don't see many pulling tackles,
There's
man.
not a lot of pulling tackles.
And you don't see many pulling
amazing.
tackles getting to the what gap is that? The other side,
The
gap?
B gap.
The B gap? Yeah. I mean, you don't see that.
He got all the way to the
You
B
don't
gap
see
in
that.
that one play I was talking about.
It's
He
crazy,
was
man.
Absolutely nuts.
It's crazy. He
I've
makes
never
a play
seen a
in the
tackle
out.
do
He
that.
plays a play. He makes a play in the other side linebacker.
Yeah, we talk
I mean-
about the greatest tackles in the league. Talking about like Trent Williams. Like we can't leave Deion out of that conversation because he's doing stuff I have never seen.
It's
in
year
pulling
in.
tackles.
It's year in, year out. I mean, obviously, whatever. I mean, he does get a few. He is a holding. He does hold. That's it. That's his.
He's also got a little hot head sometimes, but that's good.
Yeah.
I like having those
Yeah,
guys.
and that's the thing I liked about this game too, is that it was chippy. Our guys got into it, especially Spencer Brown as usual, Alec Anderson as usual. Those guys. I mean, we didn't actually see much of Alec Anderson this week,
Not really.
which was kind of weird. But Spencer Brown, you're getting
Per
in there
usual.
per usual. Just love the fight in this team. Love how connected they are. Josh said he's proud of everybody.
Good.
He said go Bills at the end of the
Ev-
interview,
I-
as usual.
I pointed that out
As
again.
usual.
Yep. Shout song
Yeah.
was going nice. It was a good game for the Bills.
Electric game. Fitz before the game was electric too. If you didn't see that,
That was awesome.
if you didn't see that, go see it on the Bills socials.
Shirt came off, getting
yeah.
rowdy.
Let's talk about next week though, if you're ready. Let's start 3:00 next Sunday. I'll be glued to my TV, watching to see potentially who my Buffalo Bills will be playing in New Orleans in 2 weeks. NFC Championship. You're the NFC guy. What do you think about these two teams?
You know, this game doesn't necessarily feel like an NFC Championship to me. I don't like that because years past, every game has been like, okay, like out of division teams. All right, like we got a good like Eagles, Niners, Niners, Lions. I mean, you can go on and on. And these two teams played obviously twice. First game, Philly won. Second game, Washington won because Jalen Hurts was out.
Right.
And they're home. But in my opinion, I think division games in the playoffs are pretty similar to division games in the regular season because you see a lot of this team. So I still have the Eagles in winning, but I'm going to have Commanders cover. And I'm going to have them cover real nicely. I got Eagles 23-21. But not like a game-winning field goal. Like it's 23-14. Last drive they get a nice touchdown to make it look closer. But
Okay.
so 23-21, Eagles going on to New Orleans.
Who's having a big game? Who's
Saquon.
having a bad game?
Saquon's having a good game. He's going to put up another 175 yards on the ground. A.J. Brown's going to be quiet. Because
Again?
they probably got Marshawn
Again?
Lattimore putting right on him. And I think from here on out, it's probably going to be a Saquon show. Until they have to throw the ball. And Jalen Hurts has not been shown a lot at all really this season. He shows a lot on his legs, not a lot throwing the ball. So Eagles 23, Commanders 21.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I'm also going with the Eagles, but 31-21. I really like how this Washington team has been playing, and I want to allude it to what I've been saying for the last day or so. So it's kind of weird to see an NFL team in the situation like the Commanders are in, 6th seed on this run ever since that Hail Mary against the Bears. And you only see this kind of run in baseball or hockey. The team gets hot right before the playoffs, like the Detroit Tigers before this playoffs, like the Florida Panthers the year before they won the Stanley Cup, the year that they got to it and lost. If you're hot when you go into the playoffs, you're hot, and that really carries you. And you don't see it in the NFL because it's a week by week game. It's not every other day you're back in there playing a game. Mindset's the same. I mean, it's pretty incredible to see what Washington's doing here in the run that they're having. I think that plays into it a little bit, but I do think that the defense has really stepped up with the experience that they have. Marshawn Lattimore, Bobby Wagner, those guys back there. Bobby Wagner's been unreal for this defense.
He really has.
Just a great overall team that they have there. Great coaching too. Cliff Kingsbury, Dan Quinn, all those guys. Still Philly winning this game, though. On the flip side for Philly, they've been here before. They're at home. Like you said, third time. It's tough to beat a team twice in the regular season, especially when they're a divisional foe. And you have to go there twice.
Yeah, it's tough.
So, I don't know. They're going to be seeing all of Philly this time, not just, Jalen Hurts unless. But great season from Jaden Daniels and the guys. Something to really build for in the future. What do you think is the need that they need on their team now, with all the success that they've had? I mean,
position wise,
yeah. Do they need a running back? Do they need?
I don't necessarily.
The old line's been great. I want to point that out
great.
too. Sam Cosme, Allegretti, all of those guys up there. They've been Andrew Wiley. They've been all great.
I think they need to look on. I don't want to take this guy down, but they got to look at the tight end position, realize that Ertz is getting old, have a guy come in and build on that. Because, their backup's mid. But Hurts has been carrying the weight. But if they can bring in the guy from Penn State, can't remember his name.
Warren?
Yeah. I think he's going to go earlier. But I'm giving.
This is also the thing. Their pick's going to be a lot later now than they anticipated.
Yeah.
So,
but that's just something that's just one player, someone who could play like that.
Right.
And just learn from Ertz in year one and then take all the way over in year two. Or, obviously, you can always help the receiver depth. They don't have the best depth, so they could easily go get someone to help out. But I think the offense doesn't have too many holes to fill.
I think I'm with you. I think, obviously offensively, I think receiver, because I think you can get away with Austin Eckler again as your back.
Yeah.
Especially with Jaden Daniels back there. Why not? Unless you want to really create that dynamic backfield that we've been seeing.
I like the Brian Robinson Jr. a lot.
Yeah, and Brian Robinson's been great too, but I don't know. I kind of get skeptical about him. He's a wishy-washy guy. I know he had a great game last game, but who knows this game what he's going to do. He could have 3 fumbles.
It's very true.
But De'Ami Brown, I like him a lot. I would like him a little bit more on that outside, and then maybe move Terry into the slot.
He's a number 3 guy.
But yeah, if you can get another legit guy, maybe a Stephon Diggs. When he's out of Houston, 1-year deal out of Houston now. Potential outcome for that. I don't know. He seems like a guy that would do that. Team that's trendy, whatever. He did it last year.
Tyreek or
did it last year, or Tyreek could be an option too. That contract's huge though.
Yeah.
But yeah, ultimately Philly, I got in this game at home. It's going to be tough for the rookie to go in there and win.
It's tough. So now we're going to go on to the Bills at Chiefs Part 4. I'll take it away for this because I know I want you to get really into it. So this is my thing. I think this is a different feeling game from the other 3, especially the first 2. Because last year and this year feel similar, but this year is still completely different. I think this is the best Chiefs defense the Bills have ever seen in the playoffs. And that's tough because Spagnuolo is a really good coach, really good defense coordinator. He's going to find ways to stop the run. So that's where you got to throw the ball. And that's where you're going to need guys like Kincaid, Shakir to keep going. But I want to see more of Keon. I want to see more of Amari Cooper because he's been quiet since week 8. So, but I have full faith that Josh Allen is capable. You know what he can do. You know where he can put the ball when it matters most. I really like the chances here. And I think this is the weakest offense that the Bills have seen in the playoffs. Might not, last year's offense and this year's offense are very similar. They just kind of added Xavier Worthy because D-Hop hasn't been doing anything in a couple weeks. Just got to find a way. Just put
Kareem Hunt, been unreal.
He has been very well.
So.
Very good. And then and you have Pacheco. That's a really good back, a 2-way backfield. I think there's one person that you have to circle their name on the defense, and I think it's the best slot corner in the league, Taron Johnson. You have to put him on Kelsey, and you have to do it. And I think Taron Johnson is one of the most slept-on defensive players in the league, and I think he's going to get it done. I think the defense, it's going to be more of a defensive game that we've usually seen with these two teams, especially in the regular season this year. It wasn't that high scoring. It's a good scoring, but not high scoring like we've seen years past with 34-31 and crazy playoff games. I think this is going to be Bills 27, Chiefs 20. That's what I got. I have the Bills going on to the Super Bowl for the first time since 1994, where they have a chance to go get their first Lombardi Trophy in the city of Buffalo, the town of Orchard Park. Hopefully a parade. We'll see. I'm not making that prediction yet. I'm just saying they got a chance to go to New Orleans, shock the goddamn world.
You're right. We do have a chance to go to New Orleans, and that's all we could ask for at the beginning of the season, and we're here now. So let's get it done. Yeah, you point out the Chiefs' defense and Steve Spagnuolo. Totally agree with you. Best defense they've had in the Mahomes era. Probably, honestly, the worst offense they've had in the Mahomes era, but he makes it work regardless. So, whatever. But this is the best O-line the Bills have had in the, quote, Mahomes-Allen era. So I think that's going to be a factor with it, too. And, honestly, yeah, you talked about how we're going to change up the game. You talked about it before, but we're going to have to be more explosive. We're going to have to match them. We're going to have to match them on drives. We're going to have to start early. So, it's going to be a tough game in Arrowhead. We've been there before. 4th time in the playoffs with this team. I mean, man. I don't know. This time does feel different. You're right. I don't know what about it feels different. I don't know, man. But ultimately, I think we do come out on the winning side of this game. Iowa's 26-23.
I like that score.
Tyler Bass game-winning field goal to send us to the Super Bowl.
Chills.
I mean, he's getting his get back. I think that was the same score we lost them last year.
Sounds about right.
I think there's going to be a lot of parallels in this game. We're going to have to listen to Jim and Tony for the 3rd week in a row.
I like it. I like them.
I don't like Tony.
Well,
I don't like Tony.
I love Jim.
Bills fans are getting really sick of Tony. Yeah. In turn, getting sick of Jim, too.
Wow.
Which,
that's sad,
I mean, is sad. I love Jim Nantz, but I need a break from Jim Nantz for a week.
Well, you're going to get it if you get it to the Super Bowl.
And then we'll get Tom Brady, potentially. But I do have the Bills 26-23 going to the Super Bowl. Man, this has got to be the team. It's got to be the team.
This is the one.
We just need one.
I do believe that.
We just need one. We're not asking for too much. We're really not asking for too much. Get us there one time, Allen. Just get us there one time, and then we can start talking.
Take it from there.
Then we can start talking. But get this game done. I mean, I'm telling you, Allen looked in the mirror this offseason and said, I need to do something about my legacy. My legacy, not the Bills' legacy, my legacy.
Facts.
Wins the first game, beats Lamar. That's a legacy game right there because that's a huge game for both of them. Could potentially lead to a legacy game this game. And then potentially, if the way I have it against the Eagles, that would be unreal matchup. Let's get it done. I was going to the bowl. See you in New Orleans.
So, with that being said, both of our predictions lead to a Bills-Eagles Super Bowl in which we know America will be with the Bills. We do know that.
I hope so. And America is rooting for a Bills Commander Super Bowl, I think.
Yep, they are.
I'd like to think. And really excited for that. Really excited for this week. I'm really nervous. Because I think we have such a good chance. That's why I'm so nervous. So it's a good nervous. I'd rather be in the spot than not in the spot. I keep thinking about that. Do want to point out you guys did lose to the Eagles. You can't be there.
Appreciate that.
That's the team you want to. We didn't talk about the Packers at all. I was trying to bring the Packers into this episode a little bit. If you want to give a little spiel on them.
We got to fix a lot of things. Legendary quarterbacks coach who coached not only Brett Favre, not only Aaron Rodgers, but now Jordan Love just retired. Legend.
That's huge, actually.
Legend in the making. Not in the making. Legend. Made. Legend made.
Cemented.
Yep. So, gonna need a big offseason. Get a guy. I want Tay back. I'm putting it out there. I want 2 guys. I want either Tay or T. Higgins. Give me one of them. Please, Brian Gutekunst.
You want that.
Please. I want that
guy.
I want the reunion.
What about Diggs? Would you take Stephon Diggs?
No, I would not take Stephon Diggs.
Would you take Stephon Diggs?
I would not. I'd be pissed. Then I'd probably love it next year.
I think you guys are ending up with Stephon Diggs now, not Washington.
But a lot of stuff to change because of Christian Watson being out. Probably till around like week 12 next year. We need to go get a guy because we cannot take a step back. We're in year 3 for Jordan Love, and year 3 is when Aaron Rodgers got it done. He got us to the promised land, and he did it.
We were talking about last year was the fun team.
Yep.
Won the game against the Cowboys. this year was more legit team. They were a better team.
They were.
Ran into a better team in the first round. So, I mean, you can't really fault them for that. And played a decent game against them, too.
Yeah.
But next year, that's the year you go. That's the year
I think we have the pieces.
You do have the pieces. You're right.
Josh Jacobs.
But you need to stay healthy. That's the thing. Defensively, you got to stay healthy.
The whole team. If
Jair.
they get just healthy, hey, he's probably out.
Really?
Yep, he's probably out.
Pack is not back.
So we need that's number one. Draft a new corner, because if I watch Eric Stokes play another football game, I'll probably put something to my head right now. I mean, I hate when Eric Stokes plays football. And Keyshawn Nixon, I don't know about him anymore. He said he doesn't want kick return anymore. He says he just wants to be a cornerback one. He's not a CB1 in the league. He was a special teamer 2 years ago.
On, man.
I mean, I love that guy, but come on.
Let's get realistic. Come on, man.
But,
You're not Christian Benford. You're not Christian Benford.
But moral of the story, get healthy, get the guys, get it done. That's all I got to say about that.
Get a kicker, too.
No, let's bring back Brandon McManus, dude.
Really?
I love Brandon.
He's kind of old.
I'll take him back. He played great for us.
I'm telling you, the leg's going to fall off. I'm telling you.
Well, he's a free agent.
We'll revisit this in a few months when you guys play the Bears, week 1, and somehow the Bears get their second game in a row. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm spitballing here. But thanks for listening, guys. I'm excited for conference championship. Hopefully next week when we talk,
happy.
We'll be pretty happy. Hopefully I'll be very happy. Yeah, Gabby, you got anything?
Season 5, baby, let's ride.
Let's ride. Expect big things. We do have some big things coming. Stay tuned. Actually, this time. Stay tuned. For real. For real. Season 5, let's ride.
Let's ride. All right.
Have a day.
Have a day.